Interesting facts. 5 children who were raised as animals. Number 5. Wolfman. Marco Rodriguez of Pantoja was only 6 or 7 when it was sold to Kosovogo the Hermit. After his death, Marco was left alone. He began to hunt rabbits and partridges, making traps. He established a certain connection with animals and lived with wolves in the Mori area for 12 years. Marco claims that he survived because the wolves took him in and fed him. In 1965 year, at 19 years old, he was found by a watchman and forcibly took him to the village, where he eventually got used to civilization, and now lives a normal life. He can also repeat the sounds of a deer, a fox, an eagle dwarf and other animals. Feature films and documentaries have been created based on this astounding story of survival. Now he is reading in school lectures to children, telling them about the wolves. Number 4. A Ukrainian girl dog of 8 years old, Oksana Malaya, was found living in a doghouse in 1991, where she lived for 6 years. Oksana's parents were alcoholics, and when she was still crawling, they left her on the street. She crawled to the booth in search of warmth and curled up next to the dogs. It probably saved her life. Soon it started running on all fours, breathing with its tongue out, and barking because of its lack of communication with people. She only knew the words yes and no. The connection with the pack of dogs was so strong that when the authorities came for it, they were chased away by the dogs. Now Oksana lives in a clinic in Odessa, takes care of pets. Number 3. Bird Bowl. In 2008, a social worker saved 7-year-old Vanya Yudin, who was chirping like a bird, as his mother raised him in a virtual cage. The child was found in a 2-room apartment filled with cages with dozens of birds, bird food and droppings. The so-called bird boy did not understand human speech, and instead of words, he chirped and waved his hands. Social worker Galina, who participated in the rescue of the boy, said that Vanya was treated like a pet by his 31-year-old mother, who never spoke to him. And when they spoke to him, he chirped back like a bird. His mother had domestic and 1 wild bird. She didn't beat him or deprive him of food, she just didn't talk to him. The birds were the boy's only companions. They taught him the language of birds. The mother signed the documents of abandonment of the child after it was found. He was temporarily sent to a boarding school, but later moved to a psychological rehabilitation center. Number 2. The Boy Monkey. After seeing his father kill his mother, 4-year-old John says Vanya fled in terror to the jungle, where he lived with monkeys until he was discovered by a woman from his own tribe named Millie in 1991. And as often happens, the feral child resisted the villagers who wanted to take him to the village, and in this he was helped by his monkey family. In the initial reports indicated that all of the body of John Sesbania was covered with hair hypertrichosis. He was found to have worms more than half a meter long. Caught and washed, he was covered in scars, wounds, and his knees were scarred from crawling. He was given the name John Sesbania and taught to talk. He sings well. John is currently touring with the Pearl of Africa Children's Choir. The BBC made a documentary based on John's story, which was released on October 13, 1999 and became a confirmation of the story. Number 1. The Ape Woman. Marina Chapman was born somewhere in the 1950s. This is a Colombian woman who was kidnapped and spent her childhood in the jungle alone, apart from a colony of capuchin monkeys. Chapman claims that at the age of 4 years she was stolen, and then released for unknown reasons. For the next few years, she lived with the Capuchins until the hunters rescued her. She had no command of human speech. She was first sold to a brothel, lived on the street, was a slave in a mafia house. She eventually moved to England, where she married and had children. Her daughter persuaded Chapman to write a story, and in 2013, she published her autobiography, The Girl with No Name.
Subscribe to the channel, and do not forget to like.